Few topics leave people in the personal finance community more divided than the subject of joint bank accounts. Do you keep your finances separate? Do you merge everything? Maybe it's best to do a combination. Well, today I'm going to take a deep dive into the pros and the cons of joint bank accounts. Use the benefits and drawbacks to help you make the money moves that are right for you and your partner. After all, the goal isn't to duplicate another couple's exact money moves. Instead, you want to build the financial plan that's right for your family. First off, what is a joint bank account? That's always a good thing to start with, right? Joint bank accounts are accounts that are shared between two individuals. Typically, these joint accounts will be savings accounts or checking accounts. That way, both people can use the account to cover expenses, pay bills, or save for certain financial goals. A joint checking account works the same way as an individual checking account. Both people on the account should be able to access the funds with checks, a debit card, and by making bank deposits or withdrawals. Additionally, you can set up direct deposit for both people's paychecks if you choose. A joint savings account works just like an individual savings account too. This account is appropriate for setting money aside for short-term and medium-term goals. These accounts are FDIC insured, which means they keep your money safe. Oftentimes, these accounts offer interest. Pro tip, make sure to get yourself a high-yield account if you don't have one already. Both account holders can make deposits and withdrawals from the account. For our purposes, we'll review joint account pros and cons for couples. But it's worth noting that joint bank accounts can also be created for aging parents and their adult children or business partners. In fact, joint accounts can be created for any two adults. However, it's crucial to ensure that the person you open a joint account with is someone that you trust. According to the joint bank account rules, both account holders have total access to the account and all the funds inside of it. Before you and your partner rush to open a joint bank account, it's worth exploring the pros and the cons. Let's start with the pros of joint bank accounts. Transparency. Financial transparency can be difficult to achieve and maintain if you and your partner only have separate accounts. Of course, there are other ways to share your financial progress with each other. But there's no denying that joint accounts make financial transparency incredibly easy to achieve. Since both partners have access to joint accounts at all times, there's no guessing at account balances or spending or saving. Simplicity. By working from a shared account, you and your partner are on the same page. Quite literally. When you have money dates, budget reviews, or budget parties, as I like to call them, the process is often streamlined. While it's certainly not impossible to have money dates if you and your partner only have separate accounts, it's just going to add a few more steps to each budgeting review session. Goal setting. In addition to streamlining the money date process, joint accounts make it easier to set goals and monitor your progress toward them. You can quickly spot overspending, allowing you to both course correct mid-month instead of waiting for a surprise at your budget review. When you have a month where you both kick your savings into overdrive, you can celebrate sooner. Also, cost savings. Combined finances result in higher account balances. This makes it easier to meet minimum balance requirements and other thresholds or activity requirements. Doing so can give you access to premium accounts and help you dodge maintenance and activity fees. Easy to use tools. One old criticism of joint accounts was that it can be difficult to combine your money. Thankfully, there is an app just for that. In fact, many different fintech options like Cruze will help you and your partner merge your money in a stress-free way. This is the high-yield joint bank account my wife and I use to manage our finances right now. We both have access to the same Cruze app interface. We can easily transfer money to our kids' accounts when we need to, and there are even pockets features that allow us to save up for joint goals that we have together. You can check out Cruze using our partner links below to boost your APY by an additional 0.5% APY for 3 months. That gets you 4.2% APY at the time of this recording. That's pretty great. Okay, back to our pros list. meets your goals sooner. Many couples say that their favorite part about joint accounts is the motivation they offer. Your balance is higher than it would be with separate accounts. Whether you're chasing your first comma or looking to join the double comma club, a joint account can certainly ramp up the motivation. Okay, let's jump over to the drawbacks or the cons to joint bank accounts. Joint responsibility. Yeah, joint accounts come with joint access and joint responsibility. If one person in your relationship is the saver and the other one is the spender, it's important to remember that joint accounts grant equal access. Either individual can access the money at any time. If an account goes into overdraft, both people are responsible for the fees. Joint accounts can also be seized by the government. If this is a second marriage for either partner and one of you owes spousal support or child support, a joint account can be tapped to cover those expenses. Also, lack of privacy. We would never advise you to hide anything from your partner. And in fact, we believe financial transparency is one of the keys to making your relationship work well. However, it's worth noting that it is much harder to hide birthday gifts or Valentine's Day presents if you and your partner only use joint bank accounts. Also, life stages. A couple who just started out with a small net worth may have a much simpler time combining most or all of their finances. However, if you and your partner set up multiple financial accounts and built a more significant net worth before you met, it might also make sense to keep some of those accounts separate. Unexpected complications. Yes, even with a prenup, it's never fun to try to separate assets in the event of a breakup. But if you and your partner open a joint account before you're married, it can be complicated to separate out your money if the relationship ends before you tie the knot. Also, financial abuse. While we certainly hope all the couples in our Marriage, Kids, and Money community are in healthy relationships, it's important that none of us turn a blind eye to the realities of financial abuse. When people combine every penny, it can make leaving an abusive situation virtually impossible. And then retirement account rules. Not every account should be a joint account. For instance, an IRA or Roth IRA is an individual retirement account. While you can certainly identify a beneficiary, you cannot create a joint account. This is also true for workplace retirement accounts as well. So while managing joint checking and savings accounts can certainly make things easier in your relationship, you are ultimately also likely to have some separate accounts no matter what. Okay, a general fair and balanced look at joint accounts so far, but what do the pros say about joint bank accounts? We've asked many different relationship and money experts their thoughts on combining finances. Some money experts like Rachel Cruze view joint accounts really favorably. In fact, Cruze says that a joint bank account signifies unity in marriage. Here's Cruze.
You combine your finances, you're not losing your identity, but you are saying, yeah, I trust you enough as my spouse that we're going to work together as a team. And vice versa, that your spouse needs to look at you and say, yeah, I trust you enough that we are going to work together as a team. And the moment you can't trust the money going on, again, there are other things down there that you have got to dig out.
Other relationship experts don't take a firm stance. Instead, they try to address the source of money conflict in the first place. Virginia-based psychiatrist Dr. Laura Dabney works with couples to help them navigate difficult money conversations. She argues that joint accounts can be very helpful, especially in terms of transparency. But the bigger issue is teaching couples how to talk about money on both an intellectual and emotional level. Here's Dr. Dabney.
If you can get comfortable with the feeling and say, I really get anxious when you make a big purchase, that person's going to want to soothe your pain. The person's not going to want to not buy a boat because you've declared it's wrong. It's because there's nothing wrong with it. But they're going to want to help you if you talk about your pain.
Adam Cole, a couples financial counselor, also believes that it's essential for couples to proactively address money issues. In fact, he believes that couples can stop money fights before they start. While he doesn't necessarily prefer joint bank accounts, he says that it's key for couples to be realistic, set a budget together, and work toward their financial goals as a team. Joint bank accounts can certainly help facilitate some of this work. Here's Cole.
Have your commitment to them at the forefront and feel free to say that. I mean, sometimes I'll have clients just say, money's been kind of stressful for me and I'm sorry I've waited to bring it up. I should have brought it up sooner, but I really care about the future of our relationship and I love you. And I think that this could make our life easier if we got on the same page.
In the end, like most marriage and money topics, there's pros and cons to joint accounts. Perhaps you want to use one joint account for all your finances, or maybe a joint account for the family finances and separate accounts for your own personal expenses. If you decide to go with a joint account for some or all of your family finances, I would recommend Cruze. My wife and I have been using Cruze for over a year now, and it really helps us stay connected with our finances, and the high yield nature of the account helps us earn money while we sleep. I think, what did I get? $180 just last month in interest alone for having our money just sit there while we slept. It was pretty great. Since they combine both checking and savings into one account, the opportunity for the higher interest, it's huge. It's great. Check them out using the partner links below and get an additional 0.5% APY for 3 months. Using our partner links, everybody, supports this channel with a commission, so we really appreciate you considering it. For more inspiration on your family financial independence journey, check out this next video right here. Carpe diem.